And welcome back, students, for another lesson in differences in file sizes. Today we're going to discuss some examples of file size. And so let's start off first with our kilobytes that we discussed last time. So as a quick example, 1 kilobyte is equivalent to a joke or a couple paragraphs in just plain text. 2 kilobytes would be more about a page of plain text. And this is not necessarily text that's written in like Microsoft Word, because Word has like some underlying formatting stuff. This would be like if you just use like Notepad. 5 kilobytes is the size of like your desktop icons. 10 kilobytes would be equivalent to a page of text out of an encyclopedia. 17 kilobytes is about the average size of a web page. That's just pretty much a text with a couple images, maybe a couple images, but it's usually just a lot of text. 100 kilobytes is a low resolution photograph, so that's like your bitmap images. Moving on to megabyte. 1 megabyte is equivalent in text to a small novel. 2 megabytes is equivalent to a 12 megapixel digital photo. This is high resolution. This is more like we're getting to like JPEG images here now. Additionally, with megabytes, it's the equivalent to the average MP3 song, so about 1 megabyte per minute of music. 5 megabytes is equivalent to about 1 minute of a high quality YouTube video. And 10 megabytes is roughly about 1 minute of a megapeg movie. Megapeg is a format that you have when you create video. And 750 megs is about 1 CD. All right, and it's just some quick examples of gigabyte and terabyte. 7 gigs is about the size of 1 DVD. 400 gigabytes is about 20,000 trees made into paper and printed. 500 gigabytes is 100 DVD movies. And 10 terabytes is enough data storage to store everything you look at for a year, and could include things like a heart monitor, personal GPS, and everything you type in and move up your mouse. So it's quite a bit of data. But let's just talk about some storage mediums that correspond with those different file sizes for kilobyte, megabyte, and gigabyte. And some of these are obviously deprecated. They are not used anymore. So for example, kilobyte, when that was the main big storage medium, obviously nowadays we deal with the gigabyte and terabyte. But in kilobytes, you had 5¼ inch floppies, which were about 360 kilobytes of data, which, of course, as you can tell, not much in today's standards. A megabyte is equivalent to a 3½ inch floppy, or 1.2 megs, or you could use a CD, which was 700 megs. So you can see we're slowly moving up in size, but again, megs isn't really that much in terms of what we expect these days. And then we have gigabyte, which is kind of like the standard right now, even though there's a lot of terabyte stuff. Most stuff is still within this gigabit range. So with gigabytes, you have DVDs at 4.7 gigs, Blu-rays at 25. And just two quick notes here. Most hard drives today are measurements of gigabyte, although there are larger that are in terabytes, such as 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, or larger. And most flash drives will also follow this rule. The most common flash drive size at the time of this recording is typically around 8 gigs. One thing to note, though, with those two things is that hard drives and flash drives used to kind of fall into the megabyte category. You would buy them and it'd be like, for example, you could get like, I remember when you had like 250 gig, or excuse me, not gig, 250 meg flash drive. And today, if you hand someone a 250 megabyte flash drive, they probably look at you and say, "What is this? I can't put anything on here." So that's just a quick evolution of how some of that storage has changed with these different file sizes. And our last slide that we're going to look at here is file transfer rates, because all these different file sizes correspond to stuff that we talked about in the previous lesson when we talked about like megabits versus megabytes. So here I have some different types of file sizes, and this is pulled from an article that was published by AT&T that talked about the different kind of media files and how long it can take to download them depending upon your speed. And notice these are all in megabits per second, not megabytes. So for example, a web page that has an estimated file size of 1 megabyte, if you can see with the file sizes here, as it gets up, you'll notice no matter what, as you get higher in speed, the download speed will, obviously decrease. But what I really want to point to here is just look at the size of these files and how quickly, something is like ebook, 3 megs. MP3 song, about 5 megs. 5-minute video, about 20 megs. A 1-hour TV show, about 1 gig. An SD movie, which is just standard definition, so that's like the old stuff that you would have. It's not high resolution at all. It's not full def, anything like that. It's about 2 gigs. 1080p movie, that's your full HD. That's about 12 gigs, right? And like me, I have 20 up, 20 down at my house, so I would be looking here about, this would be the closest right here at the 18 megabits per second. So with that one, if I were to look at these, you can see the kind of the data transfer rates that I would expect to have for those. So just a quick little thing to kind of tie in the previous lesson to this lesson. And that concludes our lesson for today, folks. Until next time.